Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Occupational Therapy for Life. I'm Jay. Disclaimer, I'm not your therapist. I'm not your provider. If you have any medical emergency, call 911. And if you have any symptoms of any issues, you should always call your primary care provider. Always keep them in the mix because usually they have your medical history and they can give you the best advice as to how to go about addressing any kind of medical issues you have. All right, so today we're going to be talking about, can you become rich as an occupational therapist? I argue, yes, you can. Even though I'm not rich myself, not yet at least. I'm on my path. So to begin with, I became a coder before I became an occupational therapist. So when I became a coder, as soon as I got out of school, I was like, whoa, I got money now. I got money, meaning that I was making, I think at the time I was making maybe $36,000 an hour. I was covering somebody's maternity leave, and it lasted like 6 months. And yeah, it was new and it was a good experience, but scary at the same time. But because I went to CUNY school, so I didn't really have much debts to deal with. So I was working as I was going to school. So I was kind of also paying my way through school, pay for my books. Plus I was getting financial aid. So I was good. So what did I do? I got me a BMW. Why would I get me a BMW? Well, because I like BMWs, because I watch so many movies and you see these BMWs. It just seems to, the cars seem to represent a side of me that I see myself as. Like I saw myself as that super hero, or that, not a superhero, but rather the main lead actor who's getting away from the villain, got into a BMW like James Bond, just like vroom, vroom, vroom. And plus from all the commercials and everything, I've always just liked the way BMWs look. So what I do, I go and got myself a BMW, and lucky for me, I knew a guy who was a dealer. So he took me to Nader, which is a auction dealer in New Jersey, and we went and bid on the car. So I got the car for like $19,000. I think the car at the time would have gone for $28,000 or more if I went to a typical dealership. But anyway, so I got my car and immediately got into debt. But I love the car. I love driving it. You know, as I operate this car, I realized it's an expensive car, because I was paying, I think, a good $300 a month for insurance. Then my car note was somewhere like $500, and you factor in gas, because this car used premium gas. It was stick shift coupe, so I'm practically paying $1,000 to operate this car. But was I thinking about that at that time? Nope. I was like, wow, I got my car, I'm living life, and I was still living at home with my parents. I was like, you know, life is great. But little did I know that, you know, I was basically wasting money. Although I was wasting money, but I got to say I don't regret my experience. I still love BMWs. I'm just in a different stage in my life now, and I'm doing different things. So as a coder and as an occupational therapist, both discipline you can make money. Both discipline you can work a lot of hours. You know, you can make money. Now, there's two ways to make money. You could be a staff therapist, which is a W-2, or you could be a 1099 therapist, which is basically a day laborer, or in other words, per diem, meaning that you get a gig and they could tell you tomorrow, okay, this is it, thank you, don't come. Or you get a gig for 1 week, a month, or 2. You're covering other therapists. I mean, things are different now, but back then, because there was not as much occupational therapists available, especially in a city like New York, there's a higher need. So therapists were just always sought after. So if you work at W-2 therapists, you didn't make as much money. You know, not too many people wanted that because it was salary after you paid taxes. You know, it was just like, oh, not as attractive. Or you could do per diem, which is 1099. You make more money. Your hourly rate is more. They don't take off the tax right now, but you have to pay taxes towards the end. That's so you go to your tax accountant, and then you would basically determine based on your spending for yourself and for the business, and you do itemized deduction. Your accountant will handle that part. So for many therapists for a long time work as contract therapists, which is the agency therapist, which is the same thing as per diem, which is the same thing as 1099. So now you might see therapists have a business name or LLC, is sole proprietor, but basically a lot of them got accustomed to making that kind of money. But when you make that kind of money, you also got to pay for your own health insurance, your own workers' comp, your own everything. So because you don't work for that facility, you have a relationship with the agency. The agency got the client, and the agency connected the client with you to provide the therapy. So when I worked as a contract therapist, I still do. I do W-2 and I do contract. Whenever I work as an agent, a contract therapist, I behave like I was a staff therapist. No one will know the difference, because at the end of the day, you're basically making a smooth transition. So, because the patient doesn't need to know you're a contract therapist. All they need to know, hey, I'm in this facility, I need therapy. Here's a therapist, and they're going to provide me the best care as I expect to get. And whatever the model of this facility is, or school, or wherever, that's what you're basically embracing and you're representing. So there shouldn't be any distinction. There's a distinction in terms of how you get paid, but for the most part, from the client perspective, there shouldn't be any distinction. They shouldn't even care about that. You should provide the best therapy that you can provide, best quality, and represent the organization. Because if you don't represent the organization, well, they may not want you back. And the agency were like, well, we can't work with this therapist because they have a bad reputation. But anyway, back to the money thing. So I got used to working as a contract therapist. So when you're working as a contract therapist, you think you're making money, you're showing all these deductions and all these things. But then when it's time to make major purchases like buying a house, you find out, oh, I don't have the income. Because the income you end up showing that you make after your loss in profit is the income that a loan officer or a company that's offering you a loan for a house is going to look at. They're going to say, okay, so he said these are losses, blah, blah, blah. So this is how much money he brings in. This is how much he's paying taxes on. So therefore, if you need a loan for $100,000, don't quote me on this. This is just an example. I don't know what the terms are if you want a loan for $100,000. But let's say you want a loan for $100,000 and the loan issuer says you need to make at least $50,000 or $60,000. But if you've been showing that you only make $30,000 income, well, you're not going to get that loan because you don't make enough money to be able to pay it back. So that's how a lot of therapists get caught out there because when they need to make important decisions, big purchases, they find out they don't have the income. So as a result, you have to have a mixed balance. So, or if you are going to continue pursuing the contract life, well, save money. You got to save money. So maybe you purchase something cash. Maybe you don't have to use out. You don't have to basically depend on the loan. Or you do a combination like I do, work W-2 and also do contract. And honestly, the state that we live in, us live in New York, it's an expensive state. So therefore, most people, one job is just not enough, so you're just gonna have to have 2 gigs anyway to do what you need to do. But the argument that you can be rich is basically, there's an artist that I like, the rapper named Nas, not Lil Nas X, but rapper Nas from Queensbridge. I got nothing against Lil Nas X, but I just want to clarify the distinction. Nas the rapper from Queensbridge, he talked in one of his songs. He says, all you need is a skill, then get on your grind. Basically, what we provide as occupational therapists is a skill. So the grind is basically work and put in the hours, have a goal, have a financial advisor, budget, plan, So invest in stocks and do all these things. So if you want to be wealthy, it's not hard to get wealthy. It all comes to money management. You also got to read books like The Millionaire Next Door or The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or The Psychology of Money. There's so many books out there. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's so many books out there that you could educate yourself about. And the goal is not, at least for me, the goal is not to be rich for the sake of having an abundance of money. It's to be rich to give me the freedom of choice, to just do as I please with my day, to help out with causes that is dear to my heart, help family members that are in need, to spend more time with children, families, cousins, friends, to visit places, travel. It's the freedom of choice. Money itself is just a tool. So you can be wealthy as an occupational therapist. I know an occupational therapist. Well, I don't know them per se, but I went to an occupational therapist website, and just to get a consultation with them was $500 an hour. I'm like, wow. Then I've met occupational therapists who write books, who develop programs, who have clinics, hand clinics, and all these things. So you can make money, you can become wealthy or rich as an occupational therapist, but you had to be intentional. You have to educate yourself. Building wealth is not hard. You just got to be consistent, educate yourself. And if you don't know anything about money, get a financial planner or take a course about money, take a course about taxes. There's so many programs out there if that's your goal to be wealthy. So, but one thing you can say, you're in a field that offers you so many opportunities, because you can work with kids, you can work with high school kids, you can work with adults with physical disabilities, you can work with mental health population. You could even open up a daycare that just focuses on sensory, like a sensory gym. You could do outpatient. You could work on hand clinics. I didn't even cover hand clinics. You could do clubhouse. There's so many things you can do. The sky's the limit. So becoming wealthy is possible actually as an occupational therapist, although I don't know any myself. But the possibility is there. Just like it's about money management, how you utilizing your money. So coders don't make as much as OTRs, but a coder can make more than OTR. Like if I'm an OTR and I only work, 40 hours, whereas a coder is probably working 60 or doing other things, they can make more money than me. Yeah, my hourly rate is more, but that doesn't mean a coder cannot make more money. There's coders who are rehab directors. So there's different ways to make money if you want to make money and become wealthy. It's possible. Being wealthy has nothing to do with basically your career. It's really, being wealthy in itself is a skill, I would say, and I'm still working on developing that skill. So pretty much, if you want to become an OT, become an OT, but not for the sake of making money, because becoming wealthy, if you want to become wealthy, hell, go into investment banking. So it's not the field itself, but OT as a skill, you will have work. You can work throughout the world. You could work as a remote therapist. You could work as a traveling therapist. There's so many things you can do. So to make money, you'll make money, but it's what you do with the money that makes a difference. In my case, like I said, I went into debt. And I love cars, so I'm still going into debt, but I'm working on managing that. But for the most part, you can be wealthy and make money in occupational therapy. So like I said, there's two parts. There's coda and there's OTR. Coders make less per hour. OTRs make more per hour, but coda can nonetheless make more than OTR if they put in the work. And you can make money faster by working contract therapists, where you get your more rate per hour. But you don't get the benefits of sick time. You don't get the benefit of vacation days. You don't get the benefits of your home health insurance. You're just out there. You're just exposed. Or you could do a combination like most therapists do. They work W-2 somewhere else, and they might do home care. They might do a few hours here, a few hours there, maybe work on the weekend. They combine it and make it work. So there's flexibility in the field. That's one good thing about this field, is flexibility. Yeah, the laws are changing. All these things are changing. But at the end of the day, occupational therapy is still needed. It's a valid field, and it's continuing to grow and develop and be better. All right, guys, thank you for your time. Until next time, we'll talk. Have a good day. Bye.